Hello to all of our listeners. We're the Football Tailgaters, and this is our podcast where we talk everything about the NFL, including your picks for bets and fantasy. And today, we're going to talk about what happened in the Week 3 of the NFL. Boy, there was a lot to unpack, a lot to talk about here. So many things happened, and to my surprise, we have a league where we do our picks, and this week I did horrible, and I'm sure everybody else did. There's a lot of upsets. I would say about like half the games, it was like an 8 out of 15 of the games that were supposed to be in favor. You know, there was favorites, and there were just a lot of upsets, a lot of underdogs in those games. And they were kind of fun to watch for the most part. It was very hectic. I have like multiple setups for like watching different games. I was telling Andy and Yams about it. It was awesome. Andy was calling it like a mini Twin Peaks. Anyways, a lot to unpack. We're going to talk about real quick our highlights from the games we were able to watch. And then we're going to talk about the Eagles and if they're the best team in the NFC. Who knows? Maybe they're just the best team in the NFCs, but we'll talk about that. And then the New England Patriots, are they any good? I know we saw Mac Jones fall down with an injury. Actually, he was just hopping around on one leg. Big time injury there. Sucks for him. And, a lot of weird troubles going around with that team. It's really interesting what's going on with them. And then the Las Vegas Raiders, a.k.a. the only team without a win in the league right now. I repeat, the only team in the league without a win right now. Just crazy. Because the Texans are a thing right now. And that's something that I kind of want to mention there. The Texans, they almost won against the Bears. I think that was one of the highlights I had for me is because the Bears barely got out of there. And I think it's even a bigger question of what's up with their team and, what are they doing? Like, what's going on? All right, like, Justin Fields is struggling, right? There's so many problems with the way they're running their offense. Their defense, might be the better of the two. I think I would put that as like one of my highlights. And then obviously the Raiders, but we'll talk about those guys later. And then the Colts finally getting a win over the Chiefs. That's one of the bigger upsets that nobody thought was going to happen, right? And they finished with a very interesting record of 1-1-1. 1 win, 1 loss, 1 tie. That's kind of crazy. And then intense matchup against the Dolphins and Bills. A lot of people had the Bills up there, but with a lot of the mistakes they had going on, a lot of miscues, Dolphins were able to pull it off, even with the iconic butt punt. Did you guys see that?
Yeah. We have the butt fumble. Now we have the butt punt. So I'm glad.
Mark Sanchez is relieved.
I think he's a little annoyed that they're trying to take that title from him.
Whatever.
Did he say something about it?
He did.
What'd he say?
Don't take that title from me.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
Well, I'm surprised.
Something like that, but yeah.
They're always gonna bring that up, so he's gonna be famous for that.
Yeah. Let's see. We got a lot more here, but I don't want to take over that much. Just skip through it. I guess. It was a close one with the Lions, Vikings, the Jets and Bengals. I know you probably have a lot to say about that, Yams. The Jaguars and Chargers, 38-10. Jaguars won that. It's insane, absolutely insane. And then I told you guys about the Falcons. They were having a lot of close games. It was only about time they won, and it seems they got a little bit of Kyle Pitts going on there. Drake London seems to be like a top-tier rookie wide receiver. I have him in, I think, 2 of my fantasy leagues. Great pickup. He was a very late-round pick. So happy about that. Same thing with Chris Olave from the Saints. That guy's balling out right now, and he seems to be taking the number 1 role for wide receiver over Michael Thomas and Jarvis Landry, which is a huge talk about that. That's also a big fantasy pickup to anyone who has him. And then we got the big upset with Buccaneers-Packers. A lot of people thought the Buccaneers were going to win over the Packers. I thought that, if this was the Patriots, this seemed like it was the coaching staff fault. I don't know what you guys think about that, but with the coaching staff, it just seemed like it was, if it was the Patriots and Tom Brady was there, it wouldn't have happened. It was such a silly mistake. It was almost like Mike McCarthy level. And then I think that's pretty much it. I mean, the Broncos 49ers, god-awful Sunday night game, but the Denver Broncos were able to pull it out with a very odd score of 10-11. But anyways, those are the ones that were really sticking out to me. What about you guys?
No, yeah, definitely. Yeah, but there were so many games that were just just very bizarre. I'm sure Las Vegas made a lot of money this weekend. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
yeah, for sure. I mean, with the Bills and Dolphins game, that was one of the biggest surprise. I'm sure a lot of people had the Bills like winning that game. But with the Dolphins, they're just playing really well. I think the coach is doing a really good job. Even though Tua got hurt, I know they're doing an investigation on him, just to see if he didn't do if he didn't have a concussion or he did. I do know that he has some back problems, so he might be questionable for this Thursday. But kudos to them. They did a really good job to pull off the win against them. And, I mean, Josh Allen did some questionable throws, and it seemed like there were some situations that he kind of played like a rookie. But, I mean, it's just one game, so I'm not very too worried about the Bills. I'm sure that they'll bounce back next week.
I think so, too. But I think it is pretty worrisome what we saw from Tua going back into. A lot of people I was seeing on social media. And I think even the commentators was like, wow, they were so surprised or stunned that Tua was back out there after that video of him stumbling all around. He couldn't even keep himself up.
Well, what I read is that when he fell and he hit his head, like going backwards, that's when they thought everybody's like, oh, he must have a concussion. Because once he got up, he was walking like a few steps and he like stumbled down. But according to reports, it was actually his back that was hurting him, and that's why he went down.
Oh.
Yeah, that's the reports. It's not a concussion, it's the back. He has a back issue, and I think he cleared a concussion protocol. It's just the back was hurting him. So I don't think there's gonna be an issue with the concussion. Once they look into it, it'll be confirmed that he did clear the concussion protocol. Some of the games didn't stood out to me. It's just that Detroit, they keep losing close games, and in the previous podcast I did say take the spread and pick Detroit, because they're always in it. They always lose it, but they're somehow always either in the lead and they kind of lose it, but the score is always close. So I
forgot, did they make the spread?
They did. Yeah, they
did
them
6.5.
They were giving them 6.5. And the other game.
Well, hold on. Before you move on with the Detroit and Vikings game, reports is that Swift, the running back, is going to be out for the next 2 weeks because of his shoulder. Campbell, the head coach of the Lions, is doing a really good job. The Vikings, I thought that game was going to be over, but the Vikings actually went in the end to pull it off and start scoring. It's just one of those weird teams, the Vikings, and I think it falls onto Kirk Cousins that he just, for some reason, eats some spinach or something, and then it's like Popeye just starts throwing it everywhere and starts scoring. And then for some part of the games, he's just awful and they can't get anything going. So it's just very interesting, that Vikings team. It's a big question mark, but I do like the Lions.
The last possession that the Lions had, they had a chance. They had a chance, and that defensive line really pulled through of the Vikings, but it was such a careless mistake by Jared Goff. I don't think he should have thrown that into like just anywhere, because he just launched it. He was like, let's see if someone catches it, because it wasn't even like a fourth down play.
Well, how many?
So they had a chance.
It wasn't even fourth down. Are you sure?
It was like second or third down. Let me see real quick.
That seems careless for a quarterback. That would annoy
I just know that it wasn't like the last shot. Like they had time.
It's all about protecting the ball, and for these types of quarterbacks that are just like average or a little better than average, they kind of want to make a play themselves, and it just sometimes it doesn't happen most of the time.
I do like Dan Campbell. I think he is. I wouldn't say he's a good coach, but I think he's a coach that we can like. He's a likable coach,
right?
Because we've seen him in Hard Knocks, and I like his personality, and I think he can get the best out of his players. But this is the same story last year with Detroit Lions. Not most of the games were close, but they were kind of close. Most of the games were close for Detroit Lion, and I'm kind of seeing the same narrative this year. And I just don't know what is it with coaches that just can't, get them that push to go to the next level.
Well, I think it's the players then. Maybe if you
It was
put
a
in
third
a
and
good...
10, by the way.
It was
Interesting.
what? I'm sorry?
3rd and 10,
Third
by
and
the way.
10, so
Yeah, he shouldn't. Yeah, no, you have one more shot. I don't know how much time was on the clock. Either way, you should not.
Yeah, there was like 20 something, and there was 10 seconds left.
Yeah, either
They
way,
shouldn't have done that.
he shouldn't be doing that. And maybe next year I don't know if Jared Goff will be in Detroit.
Well, let's just say that you get a better quarterback for the Lions. Like if Matthew Stafford was there with Campbell, don't you think that they would have pulled some of these games off?
Yeah.
So that's the thing. Like
100%.
I wouldn't fire the head coach, even though this is his second year. Let's just say that he has a bad year again with a bad record. But you see how the team is actually reacting towards him and how they're playing, and they're really close games. They're just not being able to finish. I know it's week 3, so we still have a lot of football to go through. But if the team is responding to him, I wouldn't put him in the hot seat.
No, he's not in the hot seat. He's not in a hot seat. No, I'm just wondering, what is it that for the Detroit Lions? Because like I said, last year it's kind of the same narrative. They're losing close games, and here we're not so much. They're 3 games in, but so far that narrative is continuing where they're losing close games. What is it with these coaches from one year to the next? You have a whole year to fill in that gap to stop losing close games. What is it with these coaches that they just can't seem to overcome that gap? For me, I'm thinking it might just be Jared Goff because he has weapons around him.
Well, yeah, I think I actually agree that it's up to the players. The players need to make some plays happen. So it can't always fall on the head coach. The head coach is in charge of getting them ready so they're not surprised of what's coming from the other team, and just getting them prepared and putting them in the best situation for them to make plays.
Right.
So that's what it looks like with Detroit, that they are in a good situation because they're really close into these games. But it's up to the players to actually make plays.
Yeah. Yeah. And I know you mentioned this, Aaron, and I think you probably want to mention it, are planning to mention it too, Andy. The Buffalo and Miami game. Josh Allen looked kind of exhausted. I don't know if you saw the last when Tua and Josh Allen exchanged some words. How Josh Allen kind of laid his head on his shoulder there. Like he seems exhausted. I don't know what. Maybe it's the heat that they're not used to. It's indoor, isn't it?
Well,
it has a roof on it.
Yeah, it's like sort of indoor, outdoors.
Sort of
at
indoor.
Miami
I would
Stadium.
imagine it's.
Stephon Diggs was having the same issue too. He was having cramps and stuff like that, and it was because of the heat.
It was heat. Florida was pretty hot because in that Tampa game it was pretty hot as well. But yeah,
and that's outside.
Well, that's something that they were talking about earlier today. That are the Bills actually putting too much on Josh Allen? They always
have
to win the games. But is that a fair point? Should the Buffalo Bills put Josh Allen to carry the team to win these games all the time? You're trying to win a Super Bowl here.
No, because you're stacking up your defense now. You got Von Miller for a reason, so you can take off the pressure from Josh Allen.
I didn't see the full game of the Buffalo Miami game, but I also read somewhere or heard somewhere that the Buffalo defense was rarely in the game. They played less than the offense. So
that's actually a really fun stat line that I saw, and it was crazy. It was absolutely crazy. 40 minutes of possession time for the Bills compared to the 19 of the Dolphins.
Wow.
Yeah. And supposedly Josh Allen is just throwing the ball way too many times. Well, I mean, that's perception, right? Maybe you're like saying, well, that's his job. It's a quarterback and just throw the ball. But supposedly it's a really high stat that he's throwing the ball like hundreds, 400, I think, times in these last 3 weeks, which is like a really high number.
The leading rusher was him. And
no wonder he was so exhausted.
Yeah, Devin Singletary was actually the leading in receiving with 9 receptions and 78 yards and a touchdown. But yeah, he's doing way too much. He threw for 400 yards exactly.
It's gonna be the growing pains of having a new offensive coordinator now that Dable's not there. Now that he's with the Giants. Now they have, I think his name is something Dorsey, that exploded at the end. So
that was crazy.
Yeah,
that was crazy. Yeah, because since it's his first job, maybe he just wants to prove himself. He just got like really pissed that it didn't go his way. But I think that it's gonna have to be his job to also protect his quarterback and move the ball around, like try to get that running game going with Singletary and Moss. And now you have this James Cook the brother of Dalvin Cook in the backfield as well. So trying to
they
figure
don't have
things
nobodies.
out. Yeah, exactly.
I'm surprised.
I mean, it's
They're
a
very
long
pass
season.
heavy.
It's a long season, and the playoffs is really tough, and where everybody's picking Buffalo Bills to go to the Super Bowl. So just be careful with your team. Be smart about it.
I don't know. That wasn't well. Everyone, you said, right? Not at this table. I don't think anyone chose Buffalo.
No, I picked Buffalo.
Oh, you did? Both of you did.
Yeah.
To win the game?
Yeah, I picked to win the game, yeah.
Yeah.
No, the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I'm still sticking with Buffalo.
You're sticking with it? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
My pick was Kansas City.
Which they lost again if we want to go to that one.
Yep.
So that's a surprise.
Very underwhelming. And we also saw there is an argument between the offensive coordinator of the Chiefs and Mahomes. And he was saying something that stirred up Mahomes, and that had to be separated. And Andy Reid was pulling Mahomes away, which seems like the offensive coordinator might have instigated something, because I think it was at the very end of the game where it was over already.
Well, actually, no, it wasn't. Let me say what happened.
Exactly what happened?
I know exactly what happened. So in the close to the second half, this is Mahomes that we're talking about here. So last year, Mahomes was able to go all the way to the other side of the field against the Buffalo Bills with 13 seconds to put him in a spot to win the game with a field goal. And I believe here they had more than 13 seconds. I think it was like 20 seconds, close to halftime. And Mahomes wanted to just do his thing and be able to get close to either a field goal or a Hail Mary. But Bieniemy was just wanting to run the clock down and let's just go in the locker room in halftime and we'll figure things out and adapt to what's going on in the game. And that's what upset Mahomes, that he didn't give him the shot to be able to put some points on the board. Yeah, exactly. And that's what he was telling him. Was like, dude, we have some time left. And Bieniemy was like, it's fine. Let's just go back to the locker room. But I mean, I think Mahomes had a point there. You still have time. Like, time is the biggest factor to win the game. Well, one of the biggest factors to win the game. So I don't blame Patrick Mahomes to be upset at that moment.
What a fluke game. And I think we all sat here and said, choose Kansas City for your bet. It's easy. It's an easy money.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my fault.
That's part of the crazy week that happened here.
That's NFL. I don't know what happened, honestly. It could be that the fact that, I don't know, is this the third week? Tyreek Hill's not there.
Well, let me ask you guys this.
No, they had a chance to win it.
I'm not completely ruling it out like they, they suck now, blah blah blah. No, they had a chance.
Let me ask you guys this. I don't really want to get into it, but there's always that little small factor in the back of my head that games might be rigged. So, according to like records online, it was really high that everybody was betting for the Kansas City Chiefs to win. So basically, whoever bet for the Colts were gonna just get paid lots of crazy money, because it was just too much hype for the Kansas City Chiefs. So it does sometimes bring the question mark. It was a rigged game that the officials didn't I don't know, that helped the Colts win the game. I don't believe it myself. But sometimes you just got to question these things. But I mean, for me, this is just football, and this is what happened. So there's one person brought into effect that there was a misblown call that somebody from the Colts defense got the face mask of Patrick Mahomes, and it wasn't called. But then if you look into the game, Patrick Mahomes was grabbing the face mask first of that the defender. So
yes, sir.
Just a word of caution out there for everybody, just to not believe everything you see on videos, or because these are the types of things that make you go into a conclusion and just start thinking in the wrong way instead of having all the data. I don't believe it's rigged, but yeah, it is kind of questionable how the Chiefs lost this game.
You could say that about the same thing with Miami, because Buffalo should have locked that down. Even though they had injuries too, they had some miscues, but.
Well, you mean to win the whole game, or to win? You mean no? See.
It's a divisional game.
It is, it is, and it was more.
But the way they lost,
it was more
Dolphins
of a lock
were making
than
a lot of mistakes. On paper, Bills should have won that.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm with you that Josh Allen did a lot of rookie mistakes that he doesn't do that many of in other games. That is just like simple, like the player's wide open, and that should have been like an easy for him to watch what the defense was giving him in the end zone, and he just missed the players, the wide receivers. So it is weird.
I'm seeing here all the games, and this is what's so frustrating with my own team.
You want to talk about the Jets?
Most of the Jets. Yeah, most of them are kind of close games, right? Oh, man, I hate watching the team, and it's over in the second half. It's just...
I was telling you before the game.
Yeah, not to have my hopes
Not
up.
to have your hopes up, because when the Jets beat the Cleveland Browns, that was under 2 minutes. And I do give the credit to the Jets because Joe Flacco did pull it off with the wide receivers as well and the onside kick. But that's just under 2 minutes. There's a whole game to be played. And I didn't think that they were going to be able to pull it off against Cincinnati because they haven't shown that they can actually be competitive as of yet. I believe that the Jets need to have a better quarterback. We all know what Joe Flacco can bring, so I want to know what Zach Wilson can do.
I don't know. Zach Wilson's going to be the answer here. I'm sitting there watching the Jets, who I think the defense has improved from last year. And the Bengals have the worst O-line in the league, and they can't get to Joe Burrow. And the same thing that happened with Mahomes calling out Bieniemy, same thing happened here. Did you see the video of Quinnen Williams?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. He had the same argument. He was saying stop sending the 7-man rush because they kept blitzing, and Joe Burrow just kept finding men open. It wasn't Chase.
It's a one-on-one matchup.
It wasn't Chase because we had Gardner on Chase. So that's another positive thing that I like coming out of the rookies is I really like Sauce Gardner. I think he's going to be
He did a great job.
He's
Jamar Chase, yeah, he got very little passes.
He's legit. He's legit.
Is a lockdown. Right now, he looks like a lockdown
right
corner.
Now, he looks like a lockdown corner. So that was his. That's why he was yelling, like, stop sending 7. Let us take care of it. Because they kept leaving the backfield empty. And again, it was already over in the second half. Maybe in the third half, you maybe had a chance. It's just the play call that Mike LaFleur keeps calling. It's play action on Joe Flacco, who is not a play action type of quarterback. He's kind of slow.
Yeah, no, I get it. I mean, with the defensive coordinator, if you see the first and second game against Cincinnati, I mean, Steelers blitz a lot, and they got to him. The Cowboys also got to him. So he thought, well, let me do the same thing too, because it looks like this offensive line has some issues. So I don't blame him for trying that, but at some point you do have to adapt if it's not working. I do agree with that.
I don't blame them for trying to, but the Jets defense is not close to the Cowboys defense or the Pittsburgh defense. They're good, but they're not there.
Mm-hmm.
They suck.
Jamar Chase had 6 receptions for 29 yards.
And one touchdown, if I'm not mistaken, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for that,
but he was besides that, he was pretty much on lockdown.
Exactly. 6 passes. No, it wasn't too hard. And especially because I saw the game, so I saw how many times they tried to throw it to him, and just Sauce Gardner was just on him or disrupting the passes. So yeah, so Sauce Gardner looks good. What I think about the Jets is that they are going in the right direction because they are getting some playmakers. At least not like the last previous 2 years. It hasn't been 3 and out. They have been getting some first downs, but they can't score. So you need a quarterback to help to get these playmakers the ball to be able to win.
They're not in some areas of the team. They are going in a good direction. The offensive line is not there. I don't know how many times they're gonna rebuild it, and it's still trash.
Well, draft an O lineman in the first round this year.
He's trash
in the first round.
Yeah.
Or draft a quarterback that can run around and not injure himself.
Who do they get in this?
Not this, but they did get Mekhi Becton.
No, it's year after year.
Year after year?
Yes.
Well, then I guess if that's what they need to do, then yeah, I think you have to do it. They got Dwayne Brown, who I don't think is going to be on the field.
Yeah, that sucks that he got injured right away in practice.
And yeah, he's not going to be a Jet. That's it. One and done.
Well, Burrow, I mean, the Cincinnati Bengals did play better, and they're actually favorites against Miami this Thursday.
No, that's a bet trap.
Well, still, they're favorites, though. So they're doing better. They do have a good team. Like Aaron was saying the last few weeks, is that the team hasn't changed, really. It's the same team. So they are going to get better throughout the season. So
If they win against the Dolphins, they're not a fluke.
Bengals.
That's what I think.
Well, hold
Yes.
on. If Tua is not playing, which might be a situation that
Then
might
Who's the
happen.
backup? Teddy Bridgewater, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm a fan of Teddy Bridgewater. He's one of my favorite backups.
He's not a
out there.
horrible
No, he's
quarterback.
not.
He can do the job.
He can do the job, so we'll see.
I'm sorry. I just get so annoyed that I year after year I see teams that come in with new coaches and they just turn it around that year. Look at
I think you're just in the moment right now.
I'm depressed.
Well, look at the Vikings.
What about
Well, they've been struggling year after year. Look at
No,
and,
but
and
they
they
have-
and they have playmakers and they struggle year after year. Look at Detroit. Look at Cleveland. There's so many teams out there that have been struggling. Buffalo
Cowboys.
Bills were
Detroit is one of the teams that I'm looking at that they're being competitive.
Yeah, but before Campbell, they've been really, really bad for years. And I mean, they haven't gone to the NFC Championship in like forever. And also, let me put in there Buffalo. Before Josh Allen got there, it was horrible for so many years.
Detroit had Matthew Stafford for a very long time. Weren't they okay?
Yeah, but they didn't get there.
They never went. Did they go to the playoffs? Do you
A
remember?
few times.
A few times.
Just a couple times, but they never went to the NFC Championship. They were like in and out. So I think you're just in
So-
the moment.
I'm not in
For
the
Bengals-
moment, but okay.
Bengals, they got the Dolphins, Ravens, Saints, Falcons, and then Browns in the next 5 games. If they go anywhere around 4-1 in the next 5 games, they're not a fluke. If they go 3-2, it depends how they do it. They just gotta get in a rhythm, and I don't think they were completely a fluke, but I might be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times. It just doesn't seem like right now they're in the right headspace, and they just needed to play. No offense, they needed to play against a team that's not.
Don't say it.
Let me be careful with my words.
No, it's fine. We gotta be honest here.
When they're not a playoff contender, they needed to play a team that's not playoff contender right now, right? And that's what's gonna launch them perhaps into a win streak, maybe. Because they can win against the Dolphins, especially if Tua doesn't play. They can win against the Ravens. They have a good defense. And then the Saints, they're not a horrible team, but they're not a great team. But you could argue that they're better than the Jets in some ways. And then the Falcons, they're pretty down there along with like all the other ones, all the low tier teams. So I don't know. It doesn't look that bad for them, and this is their chance to start winning. And if they don't, then they're a fluke.
Speaking
And
about
those are my thoughts.
Speaking about the Falcons though, against the Seattle Seahawks, man, that was
I told you it was going to happen.
it was an interesting
It
game.
was about time.
Yeah.
It was really close.
It
They
was
almost
really
threw
close.
that. They almost really choked that.
Yeah. I don't believe in the Seahawks because of Geno Smith, even though they do have some players like DK Metcalf and the running backs and Lockett, even though he's hurt. And I like Coach Carroll for the defense, but the Falcons, I mean, they didn't do bad. I mean, they pulled it off. Good for them.
I'm telling you, close games.
Close games. Now, one that I'm really excited about is the Jacksonville Jaguars. Before the season,
They're legit.
They're I really like them, but the only asterisk that I put in that game is that Herbert wasn't playing as elite as he
He got an
usually does.
injection.
Yeah, well, he's still hurt with those
Disgusting.
ribs. Yeah, it's
He got a fractured rib cartilage, right?
right.
And he had to get a painkiller injection to play. I think it's the stupidest thing to do after you had that really scary thing with Tyrod Taylor and how they almost punctured his lung when he got a similar kind of injection.
Yeah, I don't think Herbert should have played
You
this
don't-
week.
No, you rest him. What are you doing? He's your franchise quarterback. Why are you forcing him to go out there and just possibly injure? And he took some hits, so that's gonna be a sore area. And I don't think he should have played at all. It was a silly mistake, and that Chargers coaching staff, man, maybe you're right. They might be the issue here, and
Right. They might be.
I don't
the
like what
issue.
they were doing.
Exactly.
There is a breaking news here. I don't know if you guys know, but Myles Garrett,
Oh, he was in a car crash.
he's in a rollover car crash.
but
and
he's okay though.
Yeah,
He's
he's okay.
hospitalized. He's probably not gonna play on
Well, it's
Sunday.
I don't know. Maybe he will.
I mean, he just went into a rollover
No,
car
I know.
crash.
Yeah, I know. But I know some people that have been in rollover car crashes and they were fine.
Maybe he's used to getting hit, I guess.
Yeah, maybe he was in a big car, in a big huge.
Well,
car.
they play the Falcons, so that might be an interesting game.
That is going to be an interesting game.
Without him, if he can't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Well, he's a big part of the Browns. He actually disrupts a lot with the game against the Browns. Against the Pittsburgh Steelers this last week.
It's him. He's the face. He's the franchise. That's his team.
Yeah.
So
that's very true.
So with against the Falcons, if they don't have him,
I need to have more little information once he is out of the hospital or what's going on with him. But I'm hopeful that he does play. It'll make the game more interesting. But yeah,
that game also had the George Pickens catch. That was
that's the only
almost, if not as good
highlight of that offense.
Beckham.
Yeah, of the Pittsburgh Steelers offense.
Yeah, because you got Trubisky. Of course, that's going to be your only highlight.
Yeah.
That one's a very tough thing to deal with there on whether they should keep starting him, which I think they should. There's no rush. And then see what happens next year, which I think they should start Pickett next year.
Something I know this is not part of our agenda, but maybe a too early reaction to predict because, well, I'll bring it up later in the podcast.
Oh, well, you're already saying
No, it's okay. No, because we talk about the Vegas, right?
Yeah.
So I'll have to hang on to that.
So, okay, well, quick thing. Jacksonville Jaguars. I do like Trevor Lawrence. He's playing really well with not amazing weapons. So he's passing it to Jones, to Christian Kirk.
He's got a dual threat running back, and Christian Kirk is legit. Maybe he did get paid a couple dollars too much, but he's not bad.
Yeah, no, and the Peterson, I knew that head coach was going to do something better to improve this team, and they're playing really well. So I'm really excited to see what they do throughout the season because, again, it's still week 3, but we'll see. But what did you guys think about the 49ers and Broncos game?
At least Dan, what's his name?
Dan Orlovsky. Yeah, he's not the only one that
he's not the only one now.
Yep.
Jimmy Garoppolo was just not. He was not in the right headspace. It was his first week back.
Yeah.
No, but he got thrown into the middle of the game last this past week, and he was fine. It was just an off day for him. He needs to get his feet set next week. He'll be fine. I think they'll be fine. But, oh, God, it was such a bad game.
Right. And, the situation with the Broncos is with Russell Wilson. It looked like in the end of the game, I don't know if the coaching staff just let him or he just decided to take the game under his own hands because he just started to look like his old way of playing, like how Russ cooks, if you want to say it that way. But he started to run around and looking for those players are open, and that's how they got in there to be able to win the game.
I don't think that they said, "Oh, go ahead and make your own calls." I think he just realized, like, "Hey, I can't just stand here and be that quarterback that I want to be. I need the quarterback that they need me to be and run." Because he kind of stopped running.
Well, don't you think that Russell Wilson?
I thought he was giving the keys to having that freedom with that on.
I'm not sure because I do question mark that because he's a nice guy, and also probably the head coach is also
a nice guy.
a nice guy.
Say differently.
Well, his ex-players.
His ex-players say differently.
Well, it's because he wasn't hanging out with them and stuff like that. And he wanted his. I don't know that. Yeah, there's two sides to the story. I really would like to hear his side, but okay. Anywho, I believe he came into this team. Everything is new. The head coach is new. The owners are new. So there's new. Everything was new to him, and they are giving the keys in some way to discuss what the game is going to be like. But I truly believe that the head coach was like, I want you to start being like a pocket passer and trying to do it this way and do it that way. And I think he was trying to adapt to that way until in the very end, he like himself was like, you know what, let me just do this thing. And he pulled it off. And week 3. So let's see if it continues and throughout the season. And if it does continue for him to continue play the way that he used to play, I think the Broncos are going to be legit. But as of now, if they continue to play how they've been playing, they're just going to be struggling the whole season.
You hyped them up. You hyped the team up a lot, right? In the before the season started. Mm-hmm. And then I noticed that you picked the 49ers to win against the Broncos.
Yeah.
You didn't have faith in the Broncos. What was that all about?
Because they haven't been playing how they should be.
As you expected
Right,
it to
but
be.
As
if-
I expected it to be, exactly. So until I'm the type
and
of
that's what I was saying. They were gonna take some time to mesh well. There's gonna be some kind of issues. They need to mesh well first, and that's gonna take like 3 to 5 weeks, maybe.
I picked the Denver Broncos.
yeah, well, you were
Really?
Right. I mean,
did.
you were right. I'm
No,
sorry.
yeah, you're right.
by
one
point.
It happened. I did not
if it
expect
wasn't for that safety,
I didn't expect the scoreboard to be like that.
Well,
that was
My way of thinking is because I didn't think that Jimmy Garoppolo was going to play this bad. Because last week when he came into the game,
Yeah,
he
no
played
one thought.
pretty well, and he has taken this team all the way to the NFC Championship. He's been in the Super Bowl like with almost the exact same team. I didn't think there was going to be so many issues, but that's why I picked the 49ers, and the Broncos are still figuring out, like you guys are saying.
yeah. Also, real quick, Lamar Jackson is also very legit. I'm so happy I picked him up on my fantasy. He is doing exactly what I think he was going to do, and that's proving that he deserves that money. And right now, he is balling out absolutely, and he's... Yeah,
Here's my thing,
early-
Aaron. Here's my thing with Lamar Jackson. I'm with you. He is legit as a seasoned quarterback throughout the season. But when it comes to crunch time in the playoffs, or like in December, like when it's time to like getting close to the end, that's when I want him to continue showing up how he is. Because that's the problem that the Baltimore Ravens have, that they can't finish it towards the end. If it was just like the whole season, then awesome. I'm like that. They would be winning like the Super Bowl if he continues to play the whole season like this and into the playoffs like this. But it just doesn't happen. I think that Baltimore coaching staff needs to realize that and put him in a better position to win.
He's being slightly misused, but this is a slightly similar situation to what Cardinals have. And I think if Kyler Murray got paid, he should get paid.
my problem is with Lamar Jackson is can he stay consistent? It always starts off strong with Lamar Jackson, but can his passing be consistent later in the season? And kind of what you just said, in the big games and in the playoffs, can he get the team through it and win it? So
Yeah.
my question to Lamar Jackson is, can he remain consistent? I understand what you said, Aaron. He's a great fantasy player, but I guess as a quarterback for that team, is he a little bit underrated?
No, he's not underrated.
but is he? I guess is he better than Josh Allen?
He's getting
No.
because he doesn't have all the assets that what Josh Allen has. Allen has more skill sets. He's more versatile than Lamar Jackson. Lamar Jackson leans more towards a Michael Vick type of situation here. It's he's not always like a stay in the pocket and throw type of guy and then run out whenever he wants to. He's very dynamic in using his legs, and that's where he shines the most, and that's where Ravens have to keep being creative in how to use them and keep the defense on the other team on their toes. And I think that's what they really need to find out, like exactly how you guys said, to be consistent and to show up in those key moments when they need to, so they can finally move on to the next step.
Yeah, and I'm probably going to get, like, just have an open mind of what I'm going to say with Lamar Jackson here. I'm going to compare him to a player, and they're completely different players, and their talent is completely different, but the situation is very similar. And I'm going to compare it to Tony Romo. Tony Romo was a really good season quarterback, in my opinion. But when it came to the main games, that at the end of the season and in the playoffs, that's when it just came downhill. I'm not saying that Lamar Jackson doesn't. I mean, he gives the ball away like Tony Romo did at the end with the playoffs and everything. But it's a kind of sort of situation in which they need to figure out a way to finish the games with him. And that's the situation that I think with Tony Romo, that the Cowboys didn't help the situation to put him in the best position for him to win. And if you keep putting the game on the quarterbacks, then that's what's going to happen. They're not going to be able to finish it. You just have to help them out to be able to finish these games.
And that's giving him offensive weapons, which he has lacked in the past. They've given him a really good defense, but sometimes even that defense doesn't always show up. So they really need to maybe look somewhere more offensive heavy and help him out over there. So
Yeah.
Why don't we move into the other topics now, which is the Eagles, the Raiders, and what was the other one? The Patriots. The Patriots. What about the Eagles? They're looking very impressive. Jalen Hurts is looking great. AJ Brown, amazing. Devontae Smith with that insane catch.
Great catch.
Insane catch. I thought he was winded after he landed just straight on his back, but he was okay, luckily. And against, competitive Commanders, twice a year, it's always a tough game to play against the teams in the same division. So what about the Eagles? What do you guys think about them?
It might be a good question to say, are they the best team in the NFC? Like, if you put them against like the top ones, which we thought were like the Rams, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, the Green Bay Packers, I can completely see this game, this team and the Eagles to win them. So I do think that right now, as of week 3, they can be the top team in the NFC.
Yeah.
They won against the Lions, Vikings, and the Lions was a close game, 38-35, but they were pretty dominant against the Vikings, 24-7. Just a little note.
They've been dominant in all the 3 games, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, but, Lions isn't a playoff contender. Vikings is debatable, wild card at best. And Commanders,
Yeah, no, you make a good point. You make a good point.
The Jaguars next week is where I think they need to show up, because after what the Jaguars have been showing, they're going to be a very interesting matchup, especially against, ex-coach with, what's his name? Peterson?
Doug Peterson. Oh, nice.
Doug Peterson. Great matchup. And then the Cardinals, that's going to be another, prove it. And then, that's pretty much it. After that, it's the Cowboys.
Well, let me just say, as of week 3, so it's a long season, so we'll see what happens this next Sunday and the following, like you're saying.
Yeah, the Eagles look like a beast. They are absolutely physical. They're dominating. The quarterback is mobile. He's dangerous. In the preseason, I was really not high on Jalen Hurts, and I can say he's changed my opinion. He is a threat of a quarterback. He has the legs to do so. He has the arm to do so. It's nearly impossible to stop him. I guess the defense line also looks really good. They look pretty aggressive, and that team, they're playing complementary football on both sides.
It'll be interesting to see.
And the New England Patriots. I keep saying New York. The New England Patriots. Very big letdown with Mac Jones. It looked like it was something with his ankle. The injury did come up, but I forgot what it was because he got an MRI, right? And it's not good. He's gonna miss some time.
Don't you guys think that? Yeah, he's gonna miss some time. Like, they came out, the MRI and the X-rays came out negative, but I still think that he's gonna miss some time, maybe a couple weeks. Maybe I'll be surprised if he does come back really soon. But don't you guys think that the Patriots need some weapons, some big time weapons to help this kid out?
Devontae Parker, Jacoby Myers. Who do they have as their tight end?
No, is it Aguilar?
Yeah,
Aguilar. I think part of the Matt's regression is part due to what's his name, Patricia. I don't know if he's a good coach. I think he's had how he runs his offense. Last year, Mac Jones looked good. I know it was his rookie season, but he didn't look anything like how he's looking now. He looks uncomfortable. He's throwing interceptions. So I think it's just Matt. Is it Matt Patricia?
Yeah.
Matt Patricia putting him in terrible situations, and now he has this ankle problem. He had cleared, but he will be out for, I'm sure, a couple of games.
Well, is this Bill Belichick's fault for seeing this and not making anything happen?
I know a lot of the fans are saying that Belichick is just losing it, that he's not making the correct decisions anymore. It could just be that maybe Matt Jones is not good. So if he's out, we're gonna see what the next quarterback has, and Belichick did draft one, so we're gonna see Bailey Zappi. So we'll see how Bailey Zappi does.
My gosh,
and he was drafted, I think, in the later rounds. I think round 5, 6. I can't remember.
That might be my lock of the week. I'm not sure, but we'll see. Have to look into it.
I say never count them out as long as Belichick is there, but yeah, he might be going crazy.
I still believe in Belichick.
It was, but hey, look, it was Baltimore, and from when I was kind of keeping tab of the score, they were in it.
Yeah,
They were in it until the
Mhm.
fourth quarter, which, fourth quarter comes, and it's when the championship players come to win it. So, as long as the team is being competitive throughout the quarters, and you can say that Belichick does that to his team. They're competitive in the games. They might not win every game, but at least they're there at the end.
I think he needs a playmaker, kind of like A.J. Brown when they went to
yeah.
the Eagles or something. Yeah, to
1000%.
help him out if he needs help.
A.J. Brown should have gone to the Patriots. He says that's his team. That's his favorite team.
It says here that Mac Jones is likely to have a high ankle sprain, so it's going to be a day by day. That one's whatever. I mean, it's exactly what they need is a playmaker. They need someone to stand out, be a star.
Why would Belichick draft a quarterback and not a weapon?
His drafts are weird.
He always drafts a quarterback. He's had quarterbacks. Not always, right? I'm exaggerating. But he got Garoppolo.
He's known for drafting quarterbacks late.
Matt Castle, Brissett. So he has gone quarterbacks before, even when Tom Brady was there. It's a normal thing. I don't think too much out of it.
He's just not sold on any of his quarterbacks, so he just keeps drafting them, right?
Well, no, it could be a situation that if your quarterback gets hurt, I have a backup that is prepared to take the team. I don't see anything wrong with that. And I don't think it's going to be Zappy. It might be even a Hoyer to take the reins.
Or probably be Hoyer.
Yeah.
And lastly, the Las Vegas Raiders. Oh, boy.
They can be
the only one without a win.
Yeah. The Las Vegas Raiders could be the biggest disappointment of this season if they continue to play how they're playing. And I said it before this season, Josh McDaniels is the one that's going to make me nervous because I've seen him as a head coach, and I didn't like what he did in Denver. And coming here with the Raiders, even though the team is stacked with playmakers, I don't see it as of yet for them to be into that high level.
I don't think McDaniels is likely to get fired after the season or even during the season. But, I mean, you have to wonder how much of a leash does this guy have if this team becomes worse and worse. Also,
Derek Carr, he also is not playing to what his people think his potential can be. And he has Renfro, Devontae Adams, he has Waller, he has a whole bunch of playmakers there.
They're struggling offensively.
Exactly.
They're struggling offensively. Yeah. But last year we didn't see the struggles as much as we
McDaniels might affect it, but it's still week 3. We'll still a long season.
It's also, it's one of those teams that didn't mesh well immediately like the Broncos, right? So they have the talent, but they just need some time to get in rhythm again. So if they can find their rhythm, they'll be fine. And that's something that's a big question mark. And like you said, Yams, he won't be gone right away.
Yeah.
He'll probably be there for like 2 seasons.
Well, it really depends, Aaron.
If it goes...
It seems like it's going south.
Bad.
Like if it continues going south and they're just not winning games, I don't know if our friend there, Mark Davis, would allow that, and they'll probably just make a switch at the end of the season.
Our friend Mark Davis?
Yes.
We met him. He's a nice dude.
Yeah,
that's right. I forgot about that.
Yeah.
It's crazy here because we're hearing teams talking about radical changes, right? Bringing a head coach, and the next thing you know, he's out in the next 2 seasons. I wish one certain team that I like would do that.
Yeah, I agree with you. So let's give him 2 seasons, and if it doesn't play out, let's move on. It's all because I hate seeing talent being wasted with Devontae Adams, with Waller, the defense. They're having some defensive stars there. It sucks when you have a head coach that's just not doing its job, or the quarterback as well. Move on quickly, hire fast and fire quickly.
I think so. Yeah, and you mentioned it with talent that the Raiders have. I don't think I would even go with second season with Josh McDaniels.
But it's also pretty bad when you keep switching coaches like year after year.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of just 1 year and you're gone. For example, the Cincinnati head coach. They were all Zach Taylor, I believe his name is. A lot of people were asking for his name to be out of Cincinnati after Burrow went out, and they just had a horrible season.
Mm-hmm.
And they went to the Super Bowl the following year. So the thing with McDaniels is that I already seen what he did as a head coach, and it didn't work out. So as of now, he hasn't proved it to me. For 2 years, I think that's enough for Josh McDaniels.
Yeah. 2 years, I think, is also the sweet spot.
Mm-hmm.
I think in this case it has to be 1 because you have so much talent in this team. You can't go another year with a head coach that's just not able to take your team there. It's just, I understand if you have like a building team and you don't have that much talent in your team, go ahead and do that one more time with the head coach. But when you have this much talent in your team, I think you just move on.
I think there's 2 coaching candidates out there that would be really good for this team. It's either Dan Quinn or Sean Payton. And then they're going to be the hottest names, actually.
I say
probably.
Sean Payton. Tom Brady leaves Tampa, goes to Raiders, and that's the season. He ends it there.
Boom. That would be really interesting. And
That
fun.
was just out of nowhere. Oh my gosh.
Man,
Okay.
I would go to Vegas many times.
Now, that would be NFL being rigged.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. I don't have anything else to say. It's just a crazy week.
I just want to say one more thing. Just one more thing. The Buccaneers pulled a Dallas Cowboys situation with the ending of that game, with not looking at the time, how everything was just going down, and they weren't prepared to just make that 2-point conversion. If they were probably there, probably Leonard Fournette, if they didn't get the flag, probably Leonard Fournette would have walked it in there. But we don't know, right? We don't know. But it would have been a better shot for them to be able to win the game.
Yeah, it almost feels like you're watching teams that just don't know how to play. Like the Jets and the Cowboys, who just get penalties in the most stupidest times.
Yeah, and clock management.
Yeah.
Clock management. And I saw Tom Brady and making a lot of like adjustments there at the line.
He was a little delayed there.
He was
too,
a little
himself.
delayed there too, which I was surprised as well. So
And
it just
he put
reminded
that
me of the
trust on
Cowboys.
his coaching staff too. He put the coaching staff's trust to call a timeout because he even looked around. He was like, "Why didn't we call a timeout?
They didn't have
why
timeouts.
is nobody
They
like?"
didn't have timeouts on the 2-point
didn't?
conversion, right? Is what
Yeah,
you're talking
they
about?
didn't have timeouts, right?
I thought they had one left.
No,
No.
it was a 2-point conversion that we're
Yeah.
talking about, correct? Yeah, it was a 2-point conversion. Can you even?
But they
call
can call a timeout. Yeah, you can call a timeout.
But I don't believe they had any timeouts.
No, I don't think they
Really?
had to.
Yeah.
No.
That was it.
Oh wow.
But you should be prepared.
yeah.
You should be prepared.
Yeah.
And I mean, to Brady's defense, I'm sure if Evans was
Yeah,
there
they had
or
no timeouts.
Gronkowski,
Wow.
they
Crazy.
could have pulled it off maybe. But his main target was Gage and
Oh
Miller.
yeah, a lot of wide receivers is not there.
And then they got Cole Beasley out of like just right away. Like, hey, you got to play. It was just a bad week, but they were really competitive. So I still have Tampa Bay as a really top contender because they were still really competitive with the Packers. They went all the way to the wire, and they didn't have any weapons.
Yeah, that's good
You know
defense
what?
there.
Great defense.
You saw the Leonard Fournette. He said he was apologizing to the fantasy owner, saying that the touchdowns are coming.
Yeah.
He had no touchdowns.
Did he send another apology? Because I'm still waiting.
12 carries for 35 yards. Oh boy.
Well, that's all I have to say. Great week.
Crazy week.
Yeah, great week.
I already depleted my funds.
You got, for the Jets, you got the Dolphins coming up. No, not the Dolphins, sorry. The Steelers.
The Steelers, Miami, and Green Bay. So you tell me
Yeah.
how that's going to go for me.
Well,
Yeah, they could win Steelers.
they could win Steelers. They just have to be smart about it. Now, here's a situation with the head coach of the Jets. If they can't figure out a way to win with Zach Wilson in that game with all these playmakers that they have, that we think that they're playmakers, like Brees Hall and
No.
and Wilson, then that's your trigger to say, you know what, these coaching staff might not be the correct fit for the
You
Jets.
know what's the next excuse? The O-line needs to be fixed. That's the next excuse.
Well, then that goes into the GM.
And then here I go. I don't know what Zach Wilson has to offer with this offensive line. That's horrible.
Well, so far I don't mind what the GM Joe Douglas has done with the Jets.
The last 2 years, I can say the first year that he came on board, or the first, how many years is this? I think it's his 4th year. It's okay. I'm just getting flustered. Just an FYI, the time I broke my TV was against Miami, so they just really bugged me. So lock me up.
Uh-oh.
Lock me up.
Just don't put her near a TV.
Just watch it on the radio. Break radios.
Yeah,
Nobody
but-
has radios anymore.
Exactly. I'm excited for this next week coming up. There's going to be great games to watch. Jaguars, Eagles.
Nice.
Let's see what else we got. Dolphins, Bengals, Bills, Ravens,
Oh, that
Chiefs, Buccaneers, Sunday night.
That one's gonna be
Yeah,
good.
Sunday night, and that Jacksonville Eagles one is very exciting for me.
We'll see how they do.
That's going to be all for this episode, guys. Thank you so much for listening. As usual, follow us on our social football_tailgaters on TikTok, YouTube, and Instagram. Until next time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.